Lindsey Vonn reacts to Aryna Sabalenka's life-changing announcement. It's unlikely that Lindsey Vonn could compete again on the international stage after her horrific crash in the 2026 Winter Olympics, but no one could take away from the massive achievement she's made in her career. The 41-year-old is one of 7 women who have won World Cup races in all disciplines of alpine skiing. She also won gold in the 2010 Winter Games. The fact that she even competed with a torn ACL in Italy is a feat that deserves respect. The St. Paul, Minnesota native is currently focused on recovering from the injuries she sustained from the crash and has given fans updates on her journey. However, her online activities also bring her to surprising places that Winter Olympics fans would least expect her to be in. Lindsey Vonn congratulates Aryna Sabalenka on her engagement. Aryna Sabalenka, the current top-ranked tennis player in the WTA, recently announced on Instagram that she's engaged to longtime boyfriend Georgios Frangoulis. The post received 1.1 million likes on the platform, with 23,000 fans congratulating the tennis star's engagement to the entrepreneur and motorsport athlete. Vonn was among the sea of well-wishers. "Congrats," Vonn commented. Her message gained more than 1,300 likes from fans. Other notable figures also offered their congratulations. "Goosebumps, couldn't be happier for you both," Formula One driver Jack Doohan wrote. "Congratulations," fellow tennis pro Shelby Rogers messaged. "Congratulations," tennis superstar Carlos Alcaraz replied. Sabalenka is currently competing in the BNP Paribas Open, where she is facing Jimeno Sakatsum in the round of 64. When mountains echo across courts, Lindsey Vonn reacts to Aryna Sabalenka's life-changing announcement. In the world of sports, moments arrive that ripple far beyond the arena in which they occur. A statement, a decision, or a quiet announcement can echo through locker rooms, across stadiums, and into the hearts of athletes who understand the weight of sacrifice and transformation better than anyone else. Such a moment unfolded when tennis star Aryna Sabalenka shared a life-changing announcement that stirred conversations across the sporting world. Among those who responded with empathy and admiration was alpine skiing legend Lindsey Vonn. Though they compete on vastly different stages, one on a tennis court beneath the roar of spectators, the other racing down icy mountains at breathtaking speeds, their journeys intersect in something deeper: resilience, reinvention, and the courage to embrace change. A voice from the mountains. For years, Lindsey Vonn represented the pinnacle of alpine skiing. With gravity-defying speed and relentless determination, she dominated races across the FIS Alpine Ski World Cup, becoming one of the most decorated skiers in history. Her victories, injuries, comebacks, and eventual retirement made her more than just an athlete. They made her a symbol of perseverance. When news of Aryna Sabalenka's life-changing announcement surfaced, Vonn responded not as a distant observer but as someone who understood the emotional terrain behind such decisions. "Life doesn't always follow the path we expect," Vonn reportedly reflected in her message of support. "But sometimes the most powerful thing an athlete can do is choose their own direction." Coming from someone who battled countless injuries and public pressure throughout her career, the words carried an authenticity that resonated widely. Aryna Sabalenka, strength beyond the baseline. Aryna Sabalenka has long been known for her fierce playing style. On the court, she strikes the ball with explosive power, her presence dominating rallies and overwhelming opponents. Her rise in professional tennis has placed her among the sport's elite competitors, especially through her performances in tournaments like the Australian Open and the US Open. But behind every champion's powerful serve lies a story far more complicated than match statistics. Sabalenka's announcement, one that signaled a significant shift in her life, revealed a side of the athlete that fans rarely see. Whether it involved personal priorities, mental health, a new chapter in her career, or a change in life direction, the decision underscored a truth that elite athletes often confront: the balance between ambition and humanity. The response from the sporting community was swift and emotional. Athletes across disciplines recognized the courage required to step forward and declare a change. Among them, Lindsey Vonn's voice stood out. Shared struggles across different sports. At first glance, alpine skiing and professional tennis appear worlds apart. Skiers battle freezing winds, steep slopes, and the unforgiving physics of downhill racing. Tennis players endure long rallies, grueling tournaments, and the mental chess of one-on-one competition. Yet the pressures are strikingly similar. Both sports demand relentless travel, constant scrutiny, and the burden of expectations. Injuries can derail careers in an instant. A single decision can reshape public perception overnight. Lindsey Vonn knew this reality intimately. Throughout her career, she endured devastating injuries, torn ligaments, fractures, and surgeries that might have ended many athletes' journeys. Each time she returned, it required not just physical recovery but emotional resolve. That perspective made her response to Sabalenka deeply meaningful. When an athlete announces a life-altering decision, it often reflects years of unseen battles. Vonn understood that. The power of athlete solidarity. Professional sports can sometimes appear fiercely individualistic. Athletes compete for titles, rankings, and glory. Yet beneath the competition lies a quiet fraternity, or perhaps sisterhood, of shared experiences. When Lindsey Vonn reacted to Aryna Sabalenka's announcement, it highlighted a powerful dynamic: athletes supporting one another across sports, nations, and disciplines. Their connection was not based on rivalry or collaboration but something more universal. They understood the loneliness of hotel rooms between competitions, the relentless scrutiny of global audiences, the internal dialogue that asks whether the sacrifices are worth it. Vonn's response felt less like commentary and more like a message from one warrior to another. Life beyond the scoreboard. One of the most significant themes emerging from Sabalenka's announcement and Vonn's reaction was the idea that athletes are more than the results beside their names. For decades, sports culture often celebrated relentless endurance above all else. Athletes were expected to push through pain, silence doubts, and continue competing regardless of personal circumstances. But a new era is emerging. Modern athletes increasingly prioritize mental health, personal growth, and long-term well-being. Decisions once considered shocking, taking time away, redefining goals, or stepping back, are now seen as courageous. Lindsey Vonn herself experienced this transition. When she eventually retired from competitive skiing, it was not because her competitive spirit had faded. Rather, it was because her body had endured enough. Her decision sparked conversations about the toll elite sports can take. Seeing Sabalenka embrace a transformative moment likely resonated deeply with her own journey. The emotional weight of change. Change can be exhilarating, but it can also be terrifying, especially for athletes whose identities are tied so strongly to performance. A life-changing announcement invites questions. What happens next?